Now, as gaming has increased in complexity over the years, so too have the side quests. Although these superfluous undertakings were once considered a small bonus, recent IPs have put more and more focus on optional jobs, to the point where the B material takes a damn sight longer to complete than the main campaign. But you know what, even though these side quests that we're going to be talking about today may be lengthy, they were definitely worth your time. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 time-consuming video game side quests that are worth finishing. Number 10. CAPPY in a Haystack, Fallout 4. In Fallout 4's Nuka World DLC, the sole survivor can take part in a neat little treasure hunt. Using a unique pair of spectacles, the player needs to locate 10 little caps called CAPPYs, which are hidden around the theme park. Although this escapade sounds easy, scouring every crevasse and double-checking every corner to find each of these infernal thingamajiggies is infuriating. And the CAPPY in a Haystack quest becomes so tedious that many players likely give up. After all, what accolade can sanction such a menial task? A trophy, a slightly upgraded weapon, money? Well, rest assured, this caper deserves to be seen through just to watch the hilarious conclusion. Once all the CAPPYs are found, the unnamed protagonist gains access to the office of the park's founder, John Caleb Bradburton. By exploring the room, the player will find a subterranean chamber, leading to Bradburton's cryogenically frozen head. Yeah, didn't see that coming. John Caleb then explains how he's tired of living like a Futurama jarhead before imploring our hero to kill him. It's a nuisance to reach this point, but the bonkers payoff is an absolute delight. Number 9. SUNRY'S Trial, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. While hunting Darth Malak in Knights of the Old Republic, Revan is led to the planet Manaan. While here, the former Sith has the opportunity to take part in a murder trial. After speaking to the suspect, Sunry, and uncovering clues, Revan can bring all available evidence to the judge's attention, which will affect the trial's outcome. And because lightsabers and force powers are kept to a minimum during this venture, players may wonder why they should bother with it. After all, this is Star Wars, not Ace Bloody Attorney. However, this trial is amongst the most thought-provoking moments in the game. When the mission begins, players are under the impression that he's innocent, but upon further investigation, you find out that he did commit the murder. So he should be convicted, right? Well, things aren't so black and white, since Sunry killed a Sith. Because Revan has murdered countless Sith and Jedi, it'd be hypocritical to have him punished. But due to Revan's oath to the Jedi, our hero should ensure the criminal receives the maximum penalty. It's interesting how this chore creates one of the biggest emotional conflicts, not just with Revan, but with the player, despite its lack of relevance to the main story. Number 8. Friendly Monsters, Final Fantasy IX. Final Fantasy wrote the bloody book on unnecessarily long side missions, and as a result, this list wouldn't feel complete without mentioning at least one installment, and boy, Final Fantasy IX's Friendly Monsters quest is a doozy. Now, while Zidane and his allies travel across Gaia, they'll take part in countless random battles, but if the fight begins with an overly cheery melody rather than the typical battle music, well, this signals that Zidane has encountered a friendly monster. When this occurs, our tailed hero must offer the creature a jewel. The battle then ends with the team receiving another jewel, which must be then offered to a different friendly monster. Now, even if the player knows which areas each of these 10 critters resides in, bumping into them is random, and you know what that means? Grinding. Lots and lots of grinding. However, there are 2 reasons why friendly monsters should be completed. Firstly, each encounter rewards the player with tons of ability points that boost the group's skills in no time. More importantly though, finding all 10 monsters gives Zidane's squad a significant advantage over the rock-hard optional boss, Ozma. Now, he may look like an oversized marble, but this guy is no joke. His attacks are so unfairly relentless that Ozzy will wipe the floor with your team in seconds. But if the player completed friendly monsters, Ozma will be vulnerable to Shadow, which normally heals him, and physical attacks, making Final Fantasy IX's hardest boss battle far, far easier. Number 7. Mind of Madness, Skyrim. Due to the deluge of side quests that Skyrim has to offer, gamers can spend weeks playing Bethesda's masterwork without making a dent in the main campaign. Now, although these needless tasks offer hefty rewards, many of them boil down to battling a boss, locating an NPC, or finding a treasure. As such, most of these missions are surprisingly forgettable. Having said that, everyone remembers the Mind of Madness quest, since it is so bloody trippy. The quest begins after the Dragonborn is asked by Sheogorath to retrieve an item from the mind of former Emperor Pelagius. While in this cerebral landscape, the Dragonborn must perform tasks that are so odd it feels like a completely different game. Rather than battling a dragon, our hero must help a child version of Pelagius deal with his night terrors. Instead of facing a zombie horde, the Dragonborn has to whack a tiny soldier that represents his unresolved issues. Also, there's an Alice in Wonderland-inspired tea party, because of course there bloody is. Even though the Dragonborn doesn't receive major rewards for this mission, the Mind of Madness's surreal nature is sure to leave a major impression with the player, and sometimes that's reward enough. Number 6. Auditions. Donkey Kong 64. In Donkey Kong 64, everyone's favourite tie-wearing gorilla must traverse around DK Isle to locate his golden bananas. Even though completionists will be eager to collect everything, they have no idea what lies in store for them. Because you see, DK64 contains 3,821 collectibles, which is also the world record for most items to collect in a video game. To truly complete this monstrously sized platformer, the Kong family needs to hunt down blueprints, medals, fairies, keys, crowns, coins, and so many bananas. Now, unsurprisingly, casual gamers probably won't attempt this task, especially when they realise that they have to play the Beaver Bother minigame repeatedly and that minigame. But if players achieve a 101% completion rating and beat the main campaign, again, they'll be presented with hilarious footage depicting the Kong characters auditioning for the sequel. Throughout this segment, Kremlings conduct a belch singing solo, Candy Kong struts her stuff, Naughties act cute, and Donkey Kong and King K. Rool perform patty cake. As exhausting as it is to collect every single item, it's nice to see the developers reward the player for their efforts with this hysterical bonus. Number 5. The Shanties. Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, filling any game with 4 gazillion collectibles is an uncreative and laborious way to pad out the gameplay. When the items themselves serve little to no function, some gamers might skip the collectathon sections and just stick with the main campaign. And Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag falls victim to this trap, since it contains over 500 trinkets to find. As our hero Edward swashbuckles his way through the West Indies, he's expected to collect 30 plus sea shanties. And every time Edward grabs one of these, his pirate crew learn a new melody to sing on their travels. Not only did the sea shanties have no effect on the story, they're also a nightmare to collect, since they blow high in the air and change direction without a second's notice. If Edward doesn't swipe the shanty within the first few seconds, it'll disappear, meaning that the player can't try again until it respawns. But as laborious as this side mission is, it's surprisingly rewarding. And that's because as Edward spends hours on the ocean, sailing should be quite boring. But upon hearing the sailors belting out dozens of catchy ballads, it's impossible not to be entertained. Even when players don't know where to go, they don't mind aimlessly sailing so long as they get to hear another round of Billy Riley. Number 4. Cinema Verite. Silent Hill Downpour. Even though the Silent Hill series has been hit and miss, Downpour is definitely among the worst. Due to the inconsistent combat, repetitious exploration, and technical issues, it's hard to believe this dreck is cut from the same cloth that created some of the greatest survival horrors ever. Bizarrely, the best part of Downpour is an optional mission, which some players actually completely missed. After Murphy enters an abandoned movie theatre, he can watch secret footage if he repairs the projector and locates 3 film reels. Now, once everything has been restored, the film will start playing on the screen, but rather than just watching it, Murphy can enter the movie and explore his surroundings to discover further clues to his predicament. Because of how creatively unsettling this whole scenario is, it's the only time where Downpour feels like Silent Hill. Although the reward for this side quest isn't much, you get a golden gun, yay, it is worth doing though, since it's so imaginative, creepy, and challenging. If the developers put as much effort into the rest of the game as this section, well, Downpour could have been a classic. Number 3. Ranni the Witch. Elden Ring. In Elden Ring, the Tarnished will be able to interact with Ranni the Witch after defeating Loretta. When she asks for aid, the player must think long and hard before deciding to help her. After all, assisting Ranni will force the protagonist to partake in the most brutally difficult side quest ever. And it's not just regular tough, it is tough by Elden Ring standards. Fortunately, many of Ranni's requests tie to other missions, so the player won't have to go out of their way in order to complete everything. But since the sorceress seems to have an endless supply of tasks, helping her is the most time-consuming endeavor by far. Our silent soldier has to defeat Star Scourge Radahn, bring the Fingerslayer blade from the Eternal City to Ranni, receive the inverted statue, talk to a doll, and that is a bit weird, battle a baleful shadow, and perform 26 other duties. And the quest concludes with the Tarnished facing 2 brutal bosses, one after the other, Astel and an amped up Adula. When the foes are thwarted, our heroic knight reaches the cathedral where they swear to serve Ranni, and for the player's efforts, they'll be rewarded with the powerful Darkmoon Greatsword and a brand new ending that is touching, epic, and above all, 100% worth it. Number 2. Upgrading the Fierce Deity set, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Now, the Fierce Deity set is the most powerful attire that Link can obtain in The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. By wearing all 3 parts, the Hero of Time will be able to wield the strongest weapon, the Fierce Deity Sword. Now, at a glance, acquiring these prized possessions seems deceptively easy. By following the clues in Misko's Cave of Chess side quest, Link should locate the 3 garments in no time. However, upgrading the Fierce Deity set is a different kettle of fish. Firstly, Link must locate the 4 Great Fairies. Unfortunately, this divine quartet won't help until they hear a specific song. So, Link has to become a reporter at the Lucky Clover Gazette, obviously, track down a musical troupe near each fairy, and find a way to transport them to her. Each one of the fairies hears the heavenly tune, and then they'll agree to assist Link. For a price, that is, because you see, to fully upgrade the Fierce Deity set, Link must fork over 3 dozen Hinox parts, every dragon fragment possible, and 6 Lionel guts. It goes without saying that acquiring one of these items, not to mention all of them, is beyond challenging. Oh, and Link also has to pay 2,000 plus rupees for good measure. Completing the Fierce Deity set is so time-consuming, only the most dedicated gamers will attempt it, but when the godlike garb is upgraded to the max, not even the final boss will stand a chance against our almighty hero. And number 1, reuniting the lovers, Hades. In Hades, our big boy Zag has vowed to escape his father's maze-like underworld, and when travelling through Asphodel, he as well as the player will be lost for words upon hearing the euphoric melodies within. And this comes from a gifted musician who informs Zag that she was to wed a bard known as Orpheus, but they split since he was hired to serve Hades. To reunite the star-crossed lovers, Zag needs to buy Orpheus out of his contract. Now this is much easier said than done, as Big Z must gift Orpheus with 5 nectars before our demigod hero learns how to undo this arrangement, and because nectar rarely spawns, Zagreus has to endure his father's insidious pit over and over again, hoping to come across these juicy delectables. But when that's done, Zagreus must do the same thing again, but with the other party, before she agrees to see Orpheus. And to meet the muse, Zag must go through at least 15 dungeons. And because meeting the musician isn't guaranteed, the player has to hope that Zag bumps into her. But if the player is lucky and has 5 nectars handy, Zag still needs to go through the 65 demon-filled rooms again before completing this part of the side quest. But that's not all, because you see, Zagreus must then gain access to the administrative chamber, speak to Nyx about Orpheus's contract, and hand over 3 diamonds to buy him out of it. This mission may be unbearable at times, but the player will be glad they saw it through to the end, because you will see the pair celebrate their reunion with an eye-watering duet, and trust me, it is totally worth it. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 time-consuming video game side quests that are worth finishing. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Instagram and Twitter, where it's @RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. There is a side quest that we can take part in every single day, my friend, and it too has a definitely positive reward that is worth finishing, and that is just to be kind to yourself. You deserve love, happiness, and success. You deserve the best things in life. And why is that? It's because you're a massive ledge. And don't let anything or anyone tell you otherwise, alright? I want you to go out there and smash your life goals today, because I believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself as well. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.